Welcome back to the Healing Stylist, the podcast where we dive into the unique challenges that hairstylists face behind the chair, especially when it comes to mental health and emotional well-being. In today's episode, we're tackling two of the most important yet difficult topics: setting boundaries and checking in on our mental health. First, we'll talk about why setting boundaries with clients is essential for protecting not only your time, but also your energy and mental health. We all know how hard it can be to say no, especially when we want to please everyone. But constantly saying yes can lead to burnout. We'll explore how to set clear boundaries, communicate them efficiently, and while saying no is a full sentence that every stylist needs to learn. Then we'll shift gears to focus on mental health check-ins, how to recognize the signs of a burnout and stress before they take a toll, and why taking time to pause and reset is critical for your well-being and career longevity, whether it's setting aside a few minutes for yourself during a busy day or scheduling more significant time off. We'll talk about why these pauses aren't just nice to have. They're necessary. By the end of this episode, you'll have practical tools to both protect your time and make your mental health a priority. Let's dive in. Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about setting boundaries with clients, why no is a full sentence, and also mental health check-in, when to pause and when to reset. And I feel like these are some really good topics and some points that I've struggled with in the past. So let's get into it. As a hairstylist, we often face a lot of pressure to be available beyond reasonable limits. Let's talk about how you'll get that message on Instagram and it's like 11:30 at night and they'll be like, "How much is this?" No, hello, how are you? Can you get back to me at your earliest convenience? Like, we get treated like we're robots. And I'm pretty sure you guys can agree with me on that one. And we need to introduce the idea that saying no to anything is not only okay, but it's essential for protecting mental health and preventing burnouts. So, when you get that message at 11:30 at night, don't open it. You can clearly see you've never seen this account before. Leave it closed. There are so many fears wrapped around the word no, like losing clients, being seen as unprofessional, missing out on opportunities, and the myth that saying yes to everything leads to success, when in reality, it can lead to exhaustion. That is one that has been my struggle for the past 14 years. I've been doing hair for 16 years, and it took me that long to understand the power of no. And with that, the past 2 years, I have outlined a lot of boundaries because I've had some experiences happen to me, and I just had to really focus on me first. And that was by setting really healthy boundaries, and that was sticking to my business hours, not working on my days off, and avoiding personal social media communication for my business. Personal time should be treated as non-negotiable, and we should also not think of it as a luxury. It's definitely a necessity, and that's for any profession. It's such a slippery slope of overextending yourself. I used to say yes all the time. I'd call my husband, "Hey, can you get the kids after school?" He'll be like, "Yeah," and then I would stay. And at this time, I was working about 5 days behind the chair from like 10 to 4 or 10 to 6, and they would end up being 10 to 8. And working 10 to 8 on your feet and just mentally and emotionally pouring yourself into people all day really leads to one of your biggest reasons why you have a burnout. And that just became kind of normal. Like, a real life examples of boundary creep is like working outside of my hours, and it just became normal when it's not normal. So I had to get that under control, because once I stopped doing that, I was really able to control most of my burnouts. And a lot of my boundaries have reflected personal values like family time and self-care and what matters most. It really helped reinforce the confidence to say no. And I learned that, they didn't get mad. They'll figure it out. Because when I look at it myself, when I try to make a nail appointment with my girl and she's like, I don't have that opening, I look at my schedule and I pick a different day. Like, I'm going to figure out another day when I can get in to see my girl. And your clients will do the same. So sometimes I have to step back and remember I'm a client too. And that always helped gauge my direction of where I was going with this. So I had to learn how to communicate those boundaries clearly. So a practical tip for saying no is politely be firm by just saying, I'm fully booked that day, but let's find another time. It doesn't have to be rude. It doesn't have to be, you just have to say it nice, slow, firmly, with confidence, and they'll listen to you. No one takes offense when you're like, no, I can't get you in. You might be like, dang, okay. And then they'll figure it out. And then reframing boundaries as part of delivering your best service to clients. So that just hits really different in so many levels, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you can resonate with that. So we also need to know how to have boundaries with social media. Social media adds pressure to be accessible 24/7, and we need to learn to manage that. Tips like autoresponders and communicating business hours through social platforms is such a great idea. Like, they have this app called Mini Chats, and it does automatic responses for you. So like, you can put in keywords when someone DMs you, and it takes a lot of stress and pressure off of you, because we know social media is like a second job. And I know there's a lot of stylists out here that just don't want to use social media for whatever reason, but unfortunately it is definitely part of our culture and does help bring in a lot of money. Building our portfolio, I spoke about that last episode. Like, you have to have some type of portfolio and you have to have some type of social media presence. The two just go together. And of course, every blue moon we do have that one client. So handling pushback from clients can be the reason why we always say yes. And how to deal with clients who challenge your boundaries and when it's okay to let them go. Firing the client is honestly the best way to go when they don't respect your boundaries, your time. I spoke about this a few episodes ago on that one difficult client. It's just not worth the stress. And I know I said I had one that I need to fire, but I feel like it sometimes can do more damage to your mental when you don't. And I should be honest with you, I'm working up the courage. I'm preaching what I'm preaching. How do you say it? I'm preaching what I'm talking. And I just can't do it anymore. The mental, look, I'm getting like tongue tied just thinking about it because it stresses me out so bad. But just know I'm handling it, okay? If you handle yours, I'll handle mine. And it's all going to be okay. But on the flip side of that, when I did start putting up boundaries and letting my clients know that I will only respond between certain times and certain days, I got a lot of good feedback. A few of them knew what my situations were, my experiences that I was going through, and they were so proud of me. Like, a lot of my clients who respect me, they will on their own not contact me. They'll come into their appointment and even say, I didn't want to bother you. And I have to reassure them that you are not a bother. Like, I just love how they just respect my boundaries, and I just feel so seen and appreciative when they tell me this. Because the mental and emotional benefits of having these boundaries with your clients can prevent burnout, reduce frustration, foster a healthier relationship with your clients/friends, and while protecting time leads to greater job satisfaction and longevity in your career. I'm going to say it again. So you protect your time, that leads to a greater job satisfaction and longevity in your career. What does that mean to me? It means that I'm less stressed, less frustrated, and I don't have these crazy emotional whirlwinds of why do I hate coming to work? It all ties in together. Everything ties in together. Work-home balance is so important. And then you won't have to fight to struggle why you love doing what you do. So I really encourage you to reflect on your own boundaries and make adjustments. And learn that no is a full sentence. In fact, I empower you to use this as an affirmation. No is a full sentence, and it's an act of self-care. So our next topic is going to be, I want to highlight the importance of prioritizing mental health, especially for salon professionals who often carry emotional weight of their clients. And, I am so guilty of that. And recognize the signs of a burnout and necessity of regular mental health check-ins. Do you know how to have a check-in with yourself? And do you recognize the sign of a burnout and stress? Well, if you don't, I'm here to tell you that some of those symptoms are exhaustion, dreading work. We just talked about that. You're irritable, reduced productivity, and the physical signs are like headaches, sleep problems, insomnia. It can even mess with your appetite. And I'm a foodie, so you know if I'm not eating, there's something wrong. When you don't recognize these signs and it builds up, and by the time you realize it, it's hit you and now you're crashing. Crash and burns are like the worst. They make me feel sick just even thinking about it. And you really need to listen to your body and your mind. And I really want to emphasize how physical symptoms like tension, chronic fatigue can often precede to mental signs of a burnout. I really encourage hairstylists to pay attention to early warning signs from their bodies. Your body will literally tell you what's wrong. It's like, something simple. Your mouth gets dry. What do you need? Water. You're craving sugar. Your body's way of telling you that you need some type of healthy sugar. I don't want to give you bad advice and be like, go get a donut, because that's exactly what I would do when I'm craving sugar. But I'm craving sugar 9 times out of 10 is because it's time to eat and my hands are shaking. So it's like low blood sugar levels. But you're going to pay attention, just like if you have a cough, a sniffle, you're going to know, I'm sick. So it's the same thing behind the chair. Pay attention to those light signs your body is trying to tell you. Just like when it's time to take a break. And after you have that break, you feel recharged. And we spoke about this before. Breaks and meal breaks are very important. And the physical and mental recovery that comes from taking your breaks, which ultimately leads to better long-term productivity. Again, when you have that recharge, you're able to keep going. And it's kind of like when you're working out for the week. You work out day 1, you rest day 2, you work out day 3. Because if you continue to work out every day, you're essentially going to burn that muscle, and it's not going to work because it needs rest. And taking time off enhances creativity and reduces mistakes. You go back to work with a more clear mind. You're able to focus, and I can speak to that because when I've had a couple days off, I'm able to like figure out a problem that's been on my mind for a while. And I'm like, boom, okay, I know what to do next because I've had time to recuperate. And this is why I love the power of micro breaks during the workday. The concept is short, intentional breaks like stretching, deep breathing to reduce overwhelmed busy days. And some really good tools to do that with is guided meditation apps or breathing exercises. And you can do that in between clients. And I like to do a grounding exercise where I will stare at the wall and I will name things like the wall is white, the chair is black, the comb is green. And that just kind of takes my mind off of what's going on around me and brings more focus onto me. And then I do a couple breathing exercises where I breathe in for 3, breathe out for 3. And those are my favorite go-tos. And another one I like to do is, I've already told you, go take a quick walk. 2 minutes. That's all you need. Walk to the car, get some fresh air, deep breaths, drink some water, and go right back in. And that is what I call a mini break. And another way to prevent compassion fatigue, which is like emotional toll of absorbing clients' emotions and constantly giving emotional support. It's hard. We are so connected to our clients, but sometimes we really just have to let them vent, and you just really need to listen. And that's it. Just listen unless they ask you a question. And tips on how to create emotional boundaries is grounding exercises, practicing mindfulness, or having to decompression routine in between clients, because that will teach you how to separate the two. So while you're emotionally dumping on you, you've already been mentally prepared for it, whether you know it or not, because you've had those mini breaks in between each client. You have those breathing exercises. So you're able to be that person you need to be for the person that's in your chair. Because, you know, we have to like switch personalities depending on who's in the chair or who you're around. If this client's quiet, you're quiet. I really feed off energy that my clients give me, and I kind of go with the flow. So if they want to be a talkative person, I have the energy to talk with them, because code switching, let's be real, can be exhausting in itself. So we need to overcome guilt about taking time off. So addressing common guilt that we feel about taking breaks or vacation is that fear comes along with losing clients and missing out on income. And we're going to discuss why long-term health is more valuable than short-term gains. And that means, for example, I've had to take off work, and I took almost 3 months off. And I had a fear of losing some of my clients. But the experience or event that I was dealing with called for me to be selfish. I literally needed to focus on me and me only, to the point that I normally contact all my clients before I take a leave or an emergency happens, but I just couldn't. And this time I left it entrusted in my coworkers and salon team to handle that. And, you know, I came back to almost all of my clients. I did lose a few, but it kind of worked in my blessing, my favor. It blessed me by opening my books to the ideal client that I want. And I'd say I lost a good handful. And they were actually services that I really I hated doing. So I took it as a blessing in disguise, because I've told you before, if you lose one, 2 more come walking in. And I've been back at work like I haven't skipped a beat. I'm not missing out on anything. I've gained new clients that have been able to take those slots, and I have full books. I just looked at it today and I literally have like 4 days available in November. So if my clients are listening, you better pre-book. Y'all know I tell you all the time. So this experience has taught me to build a time for check-ins. So I encourage you to regularly self-assess to catch early signs of a burnout. Tools to help you with that would be like journaling, mood tracking apps, and checking in with a mentor or colleague. And I recommend that you go to therapy. Talk therapy has been one of the best things ever in my life, and I've been in and out since 2021. No, 2019. That says a lot, and that's okay. There's been different reasons why I've been in and out of therapy, and every time I overcome and I'm a new and improved and a better person. And you can't be your best. If you're not your best you, then you can't help others. Because how can you help others when you can't even help yourself? Which led me to build a very strong support system. I really want to highlight the importance of having a network of people like colleagues, friends, family, or therapists to lean on when feeling overwhelmed. And having this community and line of communication about stress can make a really big difference. Especially when it's something you just really can't handle, you can send a quick, "Hey," text, "I need some advice," or call and just, "Can I cry on the phone with you?" Just let me cry on the phone. And you will feel so much better when you know you're not alone and you have that support in the background, and vice versa. Don't be one of those people who just take. You gotta take and you gotta give. So be a good friend. This is my favorite thing to do right now, is creating a self-care routine to prevent burnouts. I suggest that you prioritize sleep, you eat well, and you engage in hobbies outside of work, whether that's pickleball, soccer, arts and crafts. Do something that has nothing to do with work. Stress the importance of seeing rest and self-care as a proactive investment in mental health. And that's just a game changer for me. It should be a game changer for everybody. Let's start celebrating rest as an investment in yourself. Let's just change the narrative around rest from being a luxury to being a necessity for long-term happiness and success. I really encourage you to schedule regular downtime and embrace moments of pause. If you have to plan a day off just to do nothing, in fact, that's not nothing. You're doing something. You're relaxing, and that is something you should reward yourself with. If it's been a busy day, let's reward yourself with that hour episode that you've been dying to watch, but you haven't had any time for, because you need to schedule your downtime as well. It's so important for you to do that. And I really hope you take away and listen to how important it is to be selfish. It's okay to be selfish, because taking time for yourself does not mean you're less professional. It enables you to give your best. And I encourage you to implement regular mental health check-ins and take breaks before the burnout hits. So you really need to recognize what those are, write them down as a reminder so you're able to focus, be strong, be healthy, and be the best you that you can be. So with this episode, I really wanted you to take away the importance, once again, boundaries and taking your breaks. I can't stress that enough. And I hope it was a gentle reminder for you to say it's okay to do what's necessary for you. Go get that pedicure. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel bad. don't feel guilty for spending a little bit of change on you. And now these things don't have to be expensive, but you can go to the park. Just the other day, me and my husband went to the park, and I hate being outside, but he got a blanket, he ordered us some pizza, and we sat at the park by the lake, and it was really nice. Before I knew it, it had already been 3 hours, and I wasn't ready to go. It was really, really nice, and I'm so grateful for him forcing me to go because I really didn't want to go. But that concludes today's episode, and if you have any questions, you can DM your girl on Instagram and or YouTube. So I hope you love this episode. Bye.